She's an enormously optimistic person who always looks on the good side of things.
There's no doubt she's kept Ivey in a leadership position.
Courage of her convictions.
Leaders must have integrity. She does.
Carol has a remarkable capacity for good.
She really is the complete business person.
Born in Petrolia, Ontario, Carol Stephenson's leadership skills emerged early.
Carol is very persistent. One could say stubborn, but the good side of stubbornness is persistence. She would just quietly step back from something that wasn't going her way, and she would come at it from another direction. And I think that's a trait that maybe I could say I'm responsible for her diplomacy, because she had to practice on me when she was a little girl, and she got very, very good at dealing with her bossy older sister. So her ability to get things done and her persistent charm, I think, are traits that we all saw very, very early in her life.
Carol's persistent quest for knowledge has meant that she has pursued new levels of business education every single decade of her life. As current dean of the Richard Ivey School of Business, she is also the Lawrence G. Tapp Chair in Leadership. Her commitment to education, also demonstrated in her day-to-day interaction with students, is well known.
I would say that Carol, in my mind, Carol's greatest contribution to Ivey has been her influence on the students. And again, I think this will have a trickle-down effect. I know that she's very strongly influenced my life, and I know many of the students that I went to Ivey with. I remember when she would come into the class, you could not hear like a single peep, nothing out of anybody. Everybody was just totally engrossed with what she was saying. And I think that she has put a real emphasis on ethics. And that's one of my key takeaways from Ivey, is the importance of ethics.
Carol's track record in business began in the 1970s at Bell Canada, where she advanced through the ranks of management. Then she led the National Marketing and Technology Development Centre for Canada's 9 telecommunications companies as head of Stentor Resource Centre. And prior to joining Ivey, Carol was CEO of Lucent Technologies, where she led the charge and successfully tripled the company's market share.
I think when I think of Carol, it's about getting it done. It's, being willing to take some risks, make decisions, and get it done. And not necessarily have to sit and study and overanalyze. She just moves forward quickly and aggressively, and I've always liked that, whether or not it was on the commercial side, competing with her, supplying, or also even in her leadership at Ivey. To me, it was about getting the job done. That's really when I think of Carol. That's a key strength of hers.
And it has been during the last 10 years, while serving as the dean of the Richard Ivey School of Business at Western University, that Carol has really blazed a trail.
Carol's more significant contribution is actually causing us, my colleagues, to rethink what business education is all about. So she challenged her colleagues to rethink, and then brought them together and reoriented our faculty, Ivey Business School, towards educating leaders as opposed to educating technocrats, right? So it's a big cultural shift.
She was courageous enough to come up with a completely different way of delivering the education, business education, and then the courage to make sure that it got funded, that it got accepted, and now, of course, we're reaping the fruits of it, because I don't know, you've seen the $100 million building, and this was not even a dream in 2003 when she started it.
Carol serves on several boards and on important government committees. She was a member of the Prime Minister's Advisory Council on Science and Technology, member of the Board of Directors of the Vancouver Olympic Games Organizing Committee, former chair of the Ontario Research Fund Advisory Board. In 2011, Carol was asked to serve on the Commission on the Reform of Ontario's Public Services.
Carol is scary smart. And it's terrific that she has come back to London, I think for the third time, and put her talents to use in this city to benefit our community. But she is a remarkably intelligent woman who has a remarkably high standard that she sets for herself, and she meets that consistently.
Many organizations have recognized Carol's contributions. In 2008, she was inducted into the Canada's Telecommunications Hall of Fame. In 2009, she was appointed Officer of the Order of Canada. And in 2011, for the third time, she was named to the WXN's Women's Executive Network's Canada's Most Powerful Women Top 100. And tonight, Carol Stephenson is welcomed as 2012 Laureate London and District Business Hall of Fame.
It's very appropriate for her to be being inducted into the London Business Hall of Fame particularly. And Carol has successfully reinvented Ivey in her term as dean. And that was no small task. A lot of change has gone on in the world of education, and a lot of change was needed at Ivey, and she's managed to, as Larry the cable guy says, get it done.
This recognition from the Business Hall of Fame in London is extremely important to her. Our family are from this area, and we've had members of our family in the business community in London for many years, so it's a big honor, and I know how thrilled she is.
When you look at her business career, it has been exemplary. When you look at her personal life, it has been really quite wonderful. When you look at her commitments and her contributions to this community, they have been extraordinary.